There are moments in a relationship when something shifts, and you can feel it before you can explain it. You look at the same person, sit in the same room, live the same routines, but the energy isn't what it used to be. It's not dramatic, it's not loud, it's not obvious, it's subtle, but it's real. Most men try to ignore this feeling because it creates discomfort. Facing the possibility that something is wrong takes courage, so the mind tries to convince itself that nothing has changed. But in human behavior, subtle changes are often the most revealing. When someone crosses a line emotionally or physically, the mind reacts before the mouth does. The body reacts before the story forms. And the shifts you feel usually show up long before any confession. When a woman has recently been intimate with another man, her behavior rarely stays completely consistent, not because she wants to act differently, but because a person's emotional state can't split cleanly between two attachments. The weight of guilt, the stimulation of something new, the stress of hiding it, or the anxiety of being exposed, all of these pressures create ripples in her behavior. Those ripples add up. You may notice it first in the rhythm of closeness between you. Every couple develops a natural pace. How often you touch, how often you kiss, how you hold each other, how you talk, how you connect. When that rhythm suddenly changes, it usually means her emotional state has changed. Many men explain this away as stress or mood swings, and sometimes that's true. But when the shift is abrupt, without context, and continues for days or weeks, it's worth your attention. Sometimes the change shows up as distance. She becomes less affectionate, less warm, less willing to be physically close. She may pull away slightly when you touch her. She might turn over in bed when she used to curl into you. She may respond with short answers when things used to feel natural and unforced. The reasons sound harmless: a long day at work, tired, not in the mood. They sound believable. But what matters isn't the excuse, it's what you feel behind it. People who are hiding emotional conflict often become less present. Not because they want to hurt you, but because their mind is occupied. If she's thinking about someone else or trying to manage guilt, intimacy can become emotionally complicated for her. That complexity shows up as withdrawal. There's also the opposite pattern. Some women become more affectionate, more sexual, or more physically engaged than usual. It feels like a sudden boost in interest, but it doesn't come from deeper connection. It comes from a need to restore balance inside themselves. When someone feels guilty about crossing a line, they sometimes compensate by acting closer. It's an attempt to quiet the discomfort. If the increase in affection appears out of nowhere, without a meaningful emotional moment leading up to it, it's something to notice. The timing of the change matters most. When closeness drops or spikes, immediately after unexplained absences, long nights out, stretches of silence, or vague plans, the timing becomes hard to ignore. People don't change intimate rhythms that quickly unless something significant has happened internally. Another area where you may notice changes is in how she reacts to simple conversations. A calm question that used to be normal suddenly feels like it irritates her. A harmless, "How was your night?" turns tense. A casual, "Where'd you go?" becomes a reason for her to push back. Not because the question is wrong, but because she feels pressure inside. She may react sharply, change the subject, or accuse you of overthinking. These reactions aren't about you. They're about the weight she's carrying. It's common for her to redirect the focus back onto you. You ask something ordinary, and she responds with, "Why are you being like this?" Or, you don't trust me. That shift is a way to relieve internal tension. When someone has something to hide, even neutral questions can feel threatening, so they try to shut down the conversation as quickly as possible. It's a defense mechanism, not an argument. You might also notice more small arguments appearing out of nowhere. Not big fights, unnecessary friction. Topics that never caused issues before suddenly become sensitive. She may get annoyed more frequently, or seem emotionally unpredictable. This isn't because you changed. It's because her internal world is unsettled. When someone is trying to hold two emotional realities at once, the stress leaks out through irritation or mood swings. One of the clearest behavioral shifts appears in the way she handles her phone. The phone itself isn't the issue. Her behavior around it is. A woman who is calm and transparent usually treats her phone casually. She leaves it on the table, tosses it on the couch, or forgets it in her bag. There's no tension around it. But when she's hiding something, her relationship with her phone changes quickly. She keeps it close to her at all times. She brings it with her everywhere, even when she doesn't need to. She holds it in her hand more often than usual. She places it face down instead of face up. She changes notification settings so previews don't appear. She may type faster, respond quicker, or angle the screen away when you walk near her. These behaviors aren't even conscious most of the time. They're reactions driven by the fear that something could appear when she's not ready for it. People who have nothing to hide rarely guard their phone with that level of awareness. Entering the bathroom with her phone and staying longer is another subtle shift. The bathroom becomes the safest place to respond to messages or manage conversations she doesn't want seen. You may notice the frequency increasing, the duration increasing, the timing shifting. It's not about the bathroom. It's about privacy. Sometimes new apps appear, messaging platforms she didn't use before, or social media accounts she once disliked. These new spaces allow communication that feels separate from her normal life. They provide distance and control. If these appear around the same time other changes begin, they contribute to the overall pattern. Changes in her appearance and habits can also be meaningful. People evolve naturally, but abrupt, out of context upgrades often indicate emotional influence. She may start dressing nicer for casual outings, wearing new perfume more often, or putting extra effort into her look before ordinary plans. These changes aren't about self-improvement. They're tied to emotional motivation. New lingerie or underwear she never wears around you is another detail that stands out. The purpose behind those items isn't complicated. If they don't appear in your intimate moments, they're connected to something outside the relationship. Her schedule might start to shift as well. More late nights, more vague hangouts, more plans without clear details. She may mention new hobbies, new co-workers, new people she never talked about before. Not because you're supposed to know them, because the emotional connection behind them is new. Changes in grooming patterns are subtle but telling. If she used to shower after seeing you, but now showers right before seeing you, that reversal matters. These patterns don't shift for no reason. They shift because someone is trying to manage their physical presence around you. You might notice small changes in her environment. The seat in her car is adjusted differently. The radio is set to stations she never listens to. There's a scent that doesn't belong to her, an object that isn't hers. None of these things alone prove anything, but they become part of the puzzle when everything else is shifting at the same time. One of the most significant changes appears in her emotional presence. Even if she maintains physical closeness, her attention may not feel the same. She listens, but not fully. She responds, but without warmth. She smiles, but with less depth. Emotional presence is difficult to fake. When her mind is somewhere else, her engagement fades. She may still perform certain acts of kindness, but they appear inconsistently. She might bring you food one evening, compliment you on another, or be unexpectedly supportive at random times. These gestures usually come from guilt. They're not manipulative. They're attempts to regulate the emotional conflict inside her. She's trying to balance the weight she feels. It's also common for her to project her internal worries onto you. When someone hides something, they often start to suspect others are hiding things too. She may ask you where you've been, who you were talking to, or why you seem distant. These questions reflect her own inner tension more than anything you've done. If you ask her deeper emotional questions about the relationship, her answers may change. What used to be a confident response becomes slower, more uncertain, or overly detailed. She may talk around the question instead of addressing it directly. This comes from an emotional split. She can't align how she feels with what she wants to say. The most important part of all this is your approach. When you notice these changes, reacting emotionally rarely leads anywhere helpful. Raising your voice, accusing her, or demanding answers tends to create more tension than clarity. A calm, observant approach gives you a clearer picture of what's occurring. You don't need to jump to conclusions or confront her immediately. What you need is awareness. Patterns are more important than isolated behaviors. Anyone can have an off day. Anyone can be tired, stressed, or distracted. But when multiple shifts appear together, timing changes, behavior changes, emotional changes, communication changes, the pattern becomes difficult to deny. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need evidence. You don't need to investigate her phone or interrogate her. What you need is honesty with yourself. Clarity doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from observation. When you stay steady, patterns reveal themselves naturally. People under emotional pressure always show the truth through their behavior. You only need to pay attention long enough to see it. And once you understand what's happening, you can decide how you want to move forward. Not out of anger, not out of fear, but out of clarity.